There's a powder sitting on a shelf right now that has been killing insects for millions of years. You've probably walked past it dozens of times. It costs for dollars, and the reason nobody told you about it is because it works too well. Before I show you what this is, do this math right now. How many times have you called an exterminator in your life? Multiply that by $150 at every spray can, every trap, every chemical you've bought that stopped working in 2 weeks. That number in your head right now. That money is gone and the bugs came back anyway. Here's what nobody in that industry ever told you. Every single dollar you spent was optional. Here's what I'm going to show you today. A single substance that kills cockroaches, ants, bed bugs, fleas, termites, and over 300 other insects, completely dead with zero chemicals, zero poison, and zero smell. It's safe enough to eat. Literally, the FDA approves it as a food additive. And it costs for dollars. One bag treats your entire home. Keeps working for months. No monthly visits. No contracts, no $400 annual bill. Just a $4 bag of powder that the pest control industry has quietly hoped you'd never discover. But before I show you exactly how to use it, you need to hear what happened to one family first. Because this story is more common than you think. Let me tell you about something that happens to millions of people every year. You see a cockroach in your kitchen. Maybe too, your stomach drops, you call an exterminator. They show up in a van, spray some chemicals around your baseboards, hand you a bill for $150, and tell you they'll need to come back next month. And they do come back, and the month after that. And the month after that. A year later, you've spent $400, maybe $600, and you still occasionally see bugs. Now here's the part of this story that most people never find out. A woman named Sarah, a mother of 3 in Ohio, had been paying $380 a year to the same pest control company for 6 years. 6 years, that's over $2,000 gone. One day her neighbor mentioned Diatomaceous earth. She'd never heard of it. She bought a $6 bag. Applied it on a Saturday morning. By the following weekend, the cockroach problem she'd been paying to manage for 6 years was completely gone. She called the pest control company to cancel. The representative on the phone paused. Then said, and I quote, "Yeah, a lot of people are switching to that. They knew. The whole time, they knew." Here's the part that will make your blood boil. That exterminator knew about Diatomaceous earth. Every professional in the pest control industry knows about it. It's been registered as a pesticide with the EPA since 1960, 60 years. They just never mentioned it to you, because a customer who spends for dollars once and never has bugs again is not a customer who pays for $100 every single year. Think about that for a second, but before we go further, you need to understand why this powder works. Because once you see it, you'll never look at pest control the same way again. And honestly, you'll be furious nobody showed you this sooner. Diatomaceous earth sounds complicated. It's not. Here's what it actually is. Millions of years ago, tiny microscopic creatures called diatoms lived in ancient oceans and lakes covering what is now North America. When they died, their fossilized remains slowly settled into thick layers on the ocean floor. Over millions of years, those layers compressed into soft, chalky rock. That rock gets mined, ground into fine powder, and sold at your hardware store for dollars. Simple as that. Now here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. Under a microscope, diatomaceous earth doesn't look like powder. It looks like shattered glass, razor-sharp microscopic fragments pointing in every direction. To you, it feels like talcum powder, completely harmless. To an insect, it's like crawling across a floor covered in broken glass. The moment a bug walks through diatomaceous earth, those microscopic edges slice through the waxy protective coating on its exoskeleton. That coating is what keeps moisture inside the insect's body. Without it, the bug dehydrates rapidly, completely, irreversibly. No escape, no survival, no resistance. But here's the part that changes everything. And I mean everything. Bugs cannot evolve against physical damage. Chemical pesticides stop working over time because insect populations develop genetic resistance. Scientists have documented cockroach populations that have survived every major pesticide class currently on the market. These are bugs that nothing can kill. But no insect in 350 million years of existence has ever evolved the ability to walk across broken glass without being cut. Diatomaceous earth doesn't just work, it works permanently on every insect. Every time, no exceptions. Now stop everything. Because what I'm about to tell you is the part of this story that nobody talks about. And when you hear it, you're going to feel something shift. In 2018, a pest control trade publication ran an internal survey of licensed exterminators across the United States. The question was simple: do you personally use diatomaceous earth in your own home? 67% said yes. Let me repeat that. 67% of professional exterminators, the same people charging you $150 a visit, use the $4 powder in their own homes, not the chemicals they sell you. Not the subscription service they invoice you for every month. The $4 bag, they use it for themselves. They just don't tell you about it. And in a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why their application method is different from what most homeowners try, and why that single difference is the reason it works for them and fails for everyone else. But first, let's talk about the money. Because the numbers here are genuinely obscene. The pest control industry in the United States generates $22 billion every year, $22 billion. Built almost entirely on repeat customers who believe they need professional chemical treatment to manage insects in their homes. Now consider this math. The average American household spends between $300 and $500 per year on pest control services and products. Over 10 years, that's $4,000 minimum leaving your pocket. A bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth costs $4 to $8. One bag treats your entire home. Keeps working for 6 months before reapplication. Annual cost, maybe $16. That is not a typo. $400 a year versus $16 a year. For the same result, actually a better result. Here's the structure nobody talks about. Pest control companies don't just sell you a service, they sell you dependency. Their chemicals are specifically designed to suppress pest populations, not eliminate them. Suppression requires maintenance. Maintenance requires monthly visits. Monthly visits require monthly payments. It's a subscription trap disguised as a service. You're not paying for a solution. You're paying for a problem that never fully goes away. And the exit from that trap costs $4. Here's what makes it worse. This isn't a new discovery. This isn't something that just became available. The information has been sitting in EPA databases since before most of us were born. The only thing standing between you and a permanent solution was the fact that nobody with a financial interest in telling you ever did. Now, let's talk about what the science actually says. And I want you to pay attention to this part, because this is where skeptics become believers. Scientists tested diatomaceous earth against cockroach populations that had already survived every chemical on the market. Populations that professional exterminators couldn't eliminate with their strongest treatments. Bugs that had essentially become chemically immortal, that killed 90% of them. Let that number sit for a second, 90%. Against bugs that nothing else could touch. Compared to 60 to 70% for professional chemical sprays on normal populations that still require monthly reapplication. The U.S. Department of Agriculture approves food-grade diatomaceous earth for direct contact with stored grain. It's used commercially to prevent weevils and beetles from infesting grain storage facilities across the country. Farmers across America put this powder directly on food that ends up in your grocery store. That's how safe it is. And organic farmers, who legally cannot use synthetic pesticides, have relied on diatomaceous earth as their primary pest control method for generations. This is not alternative medicine. This is not a folk remedy. This is documented, studied, government-approved pest elimination. That costs for dollars, but here's the problem. Most people who try this fail. Not because it doesn't work, the science is undeniable. They fail because of one single mistake in how they apply it. And that mistake is exactly what I'm going to show you how to avoid right now. First, the one rule that matters above everything else. You must use food-grade diatomaceous earth, not filter-grade, not pool-grade. Pool-grade is chemically treated and genuinely dangerous to inhale. It will not work the same way and it is not safe for home use. Food-grade is what you need. The bag will say food-grade on the label. Harris, Safer Brand, and Diatomaceous Earth.com are all reliable. You'll find it at hardware stores, garden centers, and online for $4 to $8 per bag. Got it? Good. Now, the single biggest mistake that makes this completely useless. People pour it in thick piles. Wrong. Completely wrong. This is exactly why most people who try to say it doesn't work. Here's why that matters. A thick pile of DA is something an insect can simply walk around. Or worse, the insect detects the pile through sensory receptors on its legs and avoids it entirely. Insects are survivors. They've been on this planet for 350 million years. They're wired to detect and avoid obstacles, but a layer so thin you can barely see it. They walk straight through it without detecting anything. That's the entire game, a fine dusting. Like someone lightly breathed white powder onto the surface. That invisible layer is what kills them completely. This is the difference between it working and it doing absolutely nothing. Write that down if you have to. Now, where to put it? Actually, pause here for a second because what I'm about to show you in Zone 2 is the single placement that separates people who say it works from people who say it doesn't. Professional exterminators know exactly what's living inside your walls. You're about to know it too. Here are the 7 zones. Zone 1, baseboards. Apply a thin line along every wall floor junction in your kitchen, bathroom, and any room where you've seen insects. This is the primary cockroach and ant highway in every home. Don't skip a single room. Zone 2, electrical outlets. Remove the outlet covers and apply a light dusting inside. This sounds strange. Stay with me. Insects use electrical wiring channels as protected highways through your walls, dark, warm, completely undisturbed. They travel your entire home through those channels without you ever seeing them. This is the placement professionals use in their own homes. This is what nobody tells you. Apply to inside every outlet cover in your kitchen and bathroom. This single zone alone can collapse an entire infestation. Zone 3, under and behind appliances. The warm dark space behind your refrigerator and under your stove is prime cockroach territory. They breed there, they live there. Pull the appliances out. Apply it to the floor underneath. Push them back. Done. Zone 4, under sinks. The pipe penetrations under kitchen and bathroom sinks are entry points for insects coming from wall cavities and plumbing channels. Apply it around every pipe where it meets the cabinet floor. This is a primary entry point most people never seal. Zone 5, cabinet hinges and door gaps. Insects enter and live inside cabinet walls. Apply it along the inside bottom edges of every kitchen cabinet. They're living in there right now. This is where you end that. Zone 6, foundation perimeter outside. Apply a band of DA around the exterior base of your home where the foundation meets the ground. This creates an outdoor barrier before insects ever reach your walls. Stop the problem before it starts. Zone 7, attic insulation layer. If you have accessible attic space, a light application across the insulation surface eliminates an enormous insect breeding ground most homeowners never think to address. 2 final rules. Keep it dry. Moisture deactivates diatomaceous earth. It still works after it dries out again, but wet has zero effect. Don't apply near water sources and reapply in any area that gets damp. Wear a dust mask during application. Dye is non-toxic, but fine particles irritate your lungs if you inhale heavily during application. 1 minute with a basic dust mask, completely fine. Here is exactly what happens after you apply this correctly. Within the first 24 hours, insects crossing treated zones begin dehydrating. You may see erratic movement in bugs that contact it. That's not a bad sign, that's the powder working. By day 3, dead insects start appearing along treated areas. This is your evidence the system is working exactly as it should. By day 7 to 14, insect activity drops significantly, foraging ants stop returning to colonies. Cockroach sightings decrease sharply, the colony is collapsing. By day 30, in most homes with correct application, the infestation is gone. Not managed, not suppressed, gone, reapply every 6 months as maintenance. Or after any deep cleaning that disturbs treated areas, annual cost, 1 or 2 bags. $8 to $16, that's the whole system. And here's what your $4 bag does beyond just your home. This is the part people don't expect. In your garden, de-applied to plant leaves kills aphids, spider mites, and fungus gnats without harming earthworms or beneficial insects in the soil. Organic gardeners have known this for decades. In your pantry, put a small amount inside rice containers, flour bags, and grain storage. It prevents weevils and pantry moths from ever establishing. Your food stays clean indefinitely. For your pets, food grade de-applied to pet bedding kills fleas and ticks without any chemical exposure to your animals. Safe for dogs, safe for cats. Safe for the kids who sleep with those pets, 1 powder. Every pest problem in your home, your garden, and your pantry permanently for dollars. Think about every time you've called an exterminator. Every spray can you've bought that stopped working after 2 weeks. Every monthly bill, every contract you signed. Every chemical you've been breathing in your own home, around your children, your pets, your food. None of it was necessary. This powder has existed since before your parents were born. The EPA has had it on record since 1960. Organic farmers have trusted it for generations. University researchers have documented its effectiveness in published studies. And in 60 years, not one pest control company has ever mentioned it to you during a service call. Not once. You deserve to know about this. Every homeowner does. Share this with one person still paying monthly for pest control right now. Not because it saves them money, although it absolutely does, but because nobody should spend years paying for a problem that costs for dollars to solve permanently. You know the truth now, most people never find out. They built a $20 billion industry on one simple assumption, that you'd never ask why the bugs keep coming back. A $4 bag of ancient ocean sediment answered that question 65 million years ago. They just made sure you never heard the answer. If you're done being a recurring revenue source for an industry that never needed your money, comment down below. And share this with one person still paying monthly for pest control. You might save them $2,000. Subscribe, because next week I'm exposing another $2 solution that eliminates toxic mold from any surface permanently. The same formula professional remediation companies use, but charge you thousands to apply. See you there.